Hey, welcome to Know the Cause. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for telling your friends. I want to open today on this note. There's a book, a Fungal Bionics series, written by Dr. Costantini, who I befriended many years ago, and a couple other physicians with the World Health Organization. Chapter 10 in this book: are penicillin and other antibiotics carcinogenic? Can they cause cancer in humans? Certainly doctors would not believe such a risk exists for penicillin, an antibiotic given to billions of humans. However, it is by definition a mycotoxin, and mycotoxins do cause cancer. Okay, be careful with swallowing mycotoxins. But if you remember the corn supply in America, the wheat supply, grains are commonly contaminated with these fungal metabolites called mycotoxins. Alcohol is a mycotoxin. So be careful out there, folks. And so this study came out of Seattle, a children's hospital out there, and it's a good study. The study on the treatment of respiratory illnesses in children found that about 11.4 million unnecessary antibiotics are prescribed each year. Just respiratory. That's not the earache, that's not all the other health problems. 11.4 million prescriptions of antibiotics each year. Who's policing the pharmacies? Shh, nobody. Who wants them to be policed? Folks, doctors warn this could lead to superbugs. I'm more concerned about our children and cancer than superbugs. Make prudent medical decisions. You're the mom and dad of the child. Here we go with Know the Cause. My name is Doug Kaufman. For the past 40 years, I've dedicated my life and even my career to finding the root cause of disease. Join me in a team of physicians, pharmacists, and scientists, and soon you too will know the cause. And welcome aboard, folks. I don't know if you know this, but you can get the entire show right here on your cell phone. Many of us can't even see the cell phone, let alone what's written on it, but you can go to Facebook and all sorts of good things right here. Go to knowthecause.com. Now, when I lectured a few months ago, a woman came up to me and she went like that. And she said, "Doug, why is it every time I visit a doctor, I feel like I'm being hustled?" Folks, so many of us feel that way, and here's what this show hopes to do: empower you, put you back in the driver's seat. Look at a couple of these things that I have experienced. Number one, Gravity's Rainbow. Not an extraordinary book, but a guy named Thomas Pynchon wrote this. I don't know how I got a copy, but I'll never forget this sentence right smack in the book. If they can get you asking the wrong questions, they never have to worry about the answers. Amen. If they can get you asking the wrong questions. And we'll go over wrong questions and right questions. Get this testimony. A young married lady was told she had cancer, cervical cancer. She needed to have a hysterectomy in 48 hours. She moved to another state. Another doctor told her all she had was a yeast infection. 2 years later, she is absolutely fine. Okay? A dear friend of Know the Cause went to the dentist to get her teeth cleaned. Actually, John, this was 8. She was told she had 8 cavities that needed to be filled immediately. Are there any free lunches, folks? That's what the question is here. She went to a local dentist to have her teeth cleaned. Free tooth cleaning, new dentist in town. He does an examination after they clean her teeth. She's told she has 8 cavities. Let's get those filled right now. She said, no, I don't have time. Next day, she goes to a regular dentist. And a regular dentist says, I see this all the time. It's the hustle. There are bad dentists, and 99% of them are great dentists. There are bad obstetricians, and 99% of them are great obstetricians. What you have to do, folks, is be careful, and you won't feel hustled. Thank God today this little cell phone can also be used for other things than watching Know the Cause. For example, the Library of Congress is on this thing. If your doctor says, that's the worst case of blank I ever saw, and I want you to take this medicine. Now be careful with this medicine. What am I doing? I'm going home and getting on my computer or on my cell phone. I'm looking up the diagnoses. I'm looking up the medication. Folks, we have rights. But so many of us believe that that doctor has the almighty word. Okay, I want to shift gears here a little bit. I want to become that doctor. Okay, in their defense, because I worked in a lot of hospitals with a lot of doctors. Look, I am having to see 40 patients a day. And these aren't well people, right? This isn't Barnum and Bailey's circus. These are really sick people, and they're moody, and if they sit more than 15 minutes in my waiting room, they get mad at my secretaries, my nurse, and me. Whereas an airplane pilot always on the jaunt from LA to San Diego, 25 minutes, they always have a co-pilot. A doctor doesn't. He's shifting by himself in that room, and he has to make a diagnosis on the run. And you're probably the patient with Medicare that he's going to have to yell and shout and scream at insurance companies to get an $18 payment on. I'm having to see 40 of these a day, guys. By the time I get home, I'm exhausted. Now I want to be the doctor again. I encourage every patient I see to get one of these little devices, or bigger for guys my age, get a whole computer, and look up what I just told you. I think you have a lung infection. I think you should be on this antibiotic, but do me a favor, go ahead and go home before you get the prescription and look up what I just said. Folks, you know better than me, the doctor, you know better than me the parameters around which you got that lung problem. Are you a realtor? Did you go into a moldy home and you haven't felt well since? Guess what? You probably have a mold problem. And the antibiotic I'm about to give you as your doctor may progress that mold problem. The most important thing to know is people are all gonna die. We all get sick. We all get old. Don't put all that weight on my shoulders. I'm gonna do the best I can do without a co-pilot. But so many of you continue, folks, to walk into a doctor's office and leave more confused than when you got in because you hear this.
When I come out of a medical office, I feel like something is just not right. I feel like I'm being hustled.
I was having a lot of irregular heartbeat. I'd been in the emergency room Thanksgiving morning is the last time. Through pursuing natural things, Dr. Dieterle is my physician, and he referred me to Dawn, said I should see her, and she got me started on the diet here about a month and a half ago. And I was also having some problems with ulcerative colitis, and I've been off my medication for that now for about a month. I don't think I've goofed up on the diet yet. I'm pretty strict with it. Pretty easy to try, and it doesn't have the side effects of drugs. I've been down some of the roads with drugs in the past, and it's hard to put my finger on it, but I always just figured that there was some way of fixing this without, drugs or surgery, and it sure. Well, my blood pressure, I have to attribute that to the diet too. 2 weeks ago it was 104/60. And last week it was 110/70, and I'd been running usually in the mid to upper 140s over 85 to 90.
The take-home answer today is going to be trust no one, really. They did a little survey one time and they found the people we trust most are our pharmacists, and the people we trust least, interestingly, are car salesmen. I had a little venture with my son where we bought a used car, and look, this kid was probably 25 years old, very nice kid. He couldn't make the ultimate decision, but he could tell my son and I, well, I don't think they're gonna go that low. And we'd have to say, okay, would you go ask him? And then he'd come back after leaving you for 20 minutes and he'd say, well, we can go to this. Look, not his fault. We ended up buying the car. I trusted that kid emphatically. I trust a pharmacist. I trust a doctor. Some can't be trusted, and yet we hold 100% of them totally trusted when we walk in that office. Another case in point for feeling the hustle is going on drugs. You may have seen this. This was in 2004. Remember when Vioxx came on the market? It was on every commercial, on every network, conservative and liberal networks. New York Times said this: Merck to pay $1 billion over a drug called Vioxx. Why? It dramatically increased the risk of stroke and heart disease, etc. And yet, folks, nobody held you down and lifted your jaws and put a pill in. You trusted a doctor who trusted a drug rep, who trusted the company they worked for wouldn't make a pill like that. But word got out on the street that, look, Serious problems ensue in a large number of people taking this pill, and poof, it was gone. Merck did the right thing. They pulled it off the market. Your doctor did the right thing. Hey, I'm not prescribing that anymore, right? And when you consider $950 million for a drug that sold billions and billions of dollars worth, I think this one pharmacist hit the nail right on the head in this article. He said, no person was ever held liable for Merck's conduct. It's just the cost of doing business for these drug companies. Look, it's capitalism. We're going to go out and make pills. We're going to talk your doctor into giving them to you, and maybe we'll give your doctor a new stethoscope. Here, I'm the doctor again. I gave you that pill based on the science, credible science that the company gave us. Who's at fault, folks? Who's at fault? Not him, not them. You took the pill. You trusted. And that's a problem I have today in medicine. So many pills coming to us, and the blame game works well because there's plenty of lawyers that'll take your case. But the bottom line is, I feel worse for you because you're the one that left that office totally trusting and didn't go home and turn on this little machine and say, Vioxx, wow, you're kidding. 10% of the people have heart attacks while taking this. The onus isn't on the doctor. He's doing his job. The drug companies are doing their job. The problem is we buy it 100%. Trust is an issue. Don't worry.
So what are my top 4 tips to getting rid of a cold fast? First of all, no sugar. Sugar shuts down the immune system for up to 24 hours, and we need our immune system to be working to fight off that cold and flu. Antifungal supplements. I love antifungal supplements. I kind of double up on them and maybe take 2 if I start to get the sniffles. I love my olive leaf and my oil of oregano. There's lots of them. Nasal sprays and throat sprays. I love the olive leaf kind. It works really well. And then bone stock. It's just like grandma's chicken noodle soup without the noodles. It's so easy to make. You put bones in water with a little apple cider vinegar. You can get more extravagant with vegetables and things like that. But the apple cider vinegar leaches out all those good gelatin and minerals and things like that. So bone stock.
Wash your mouth out. It prevents heart disease. Researchers at Columbia University Medical Center examined the bacteria that grows in your mouth, promoting the formation of plaque on your pearly whites and causing gum disease. These are the same exact germs that cause plaque to collect in your arteries and cause heart disease. You better brush and floss each day because it's good for your heart and your kisser.
I think one of the things that bothers me most in the world of science is the hustle to get you to get a flu shot. Now, I'm going to be your doctor again, right? I'm not a real doctor. I play one on TV, but I'm not a real doctor. But today I'm going to be one. You're my patient. You're coming in to see me and you're 72 years old and you've got some hip problems and you've been on medication from me for years and years and years because I don't understand the fungus link to your arthritis problem, right? So I haven't put you on a diet or any of these antifungal drugs. And you asked me if you should get a shot. I'm going with the guidelines from the Center for Disease Control, which I read, by the way, on my cell phone or on my computer. And the guidelines say if you're in your 70s, go ahead and get a flu shot. Okay, I'm going to take this off now. Look at this headline. Flu vaccine doesn't protect against this season's most dominant strain. Now, if you read this carefully, it says less than a quarter of you were actually protected against the flu by this year's strain, which last year scientists pulled together and made this flu vaccine. But reading it further said last year was much better, 50 to 55% protection last year. Is it the doctor's fault that you're taking the flu shot? He just sold it to you. Is it the drug maker's fault who made the flu vaccine? Folks, they get paid a salary to put their thinking caps on and find out what strain's out there in Japan and bring it over here to America and bottle it up. We hope to hit 100%. So many people have told me that they have taken a flu shot and get worse afterwards. Impossible, says the Center for Disease Control. That's a dead virus. Yeah, well, it activates live immunology. Here's the take-home message. You have absolutely trusted. Tell the doctor, I want to go home, and think about it a little bit, because you don't want to be hustled. Well, I'm with one of my favorite doctors in the world. Dr. Fred Pescatore and I have known each other way too many years. I want to ask this question because it's around the time of the year when people line up and you see on television, Dr. Pescatore, the baby screaming with this needle going in their arm and the old people passing out in line and they're moving forward waiting for the flu. But you got to get in right away because they're running out of that flu vaccine, and make sure you get it. Okay, I have not, when I was in boot camp, I remember they gave us a flu shot, 400 years ago. That's the last flu shot I've ever taken, and I don't think I've had the flu since then. So can you give me your take? I know you don't represent the Center for Disease Control, but as a physician, what's your take? You have patients coming in all the time asking this.
I mean, I recommend pretty much not to get the flu shot. Because I think, A, getting the flu shot, you'll get the flu. Because that's just part of, well, it's not impossible.
They say it's a dead strain, and I've got to tell you.
It's not a dead strain, it's a live strain of the flu.
You guys are telling me this all the time. Mom got the flu shot, she got the flu. My brother got a flu shot, he got the flu, so I'm not going to get it. But you have this whole group of people telling us that's absolutely impossible. That's not the right answer.
No, it's not the right answer at all. I mean, I think if you keep your immune system healthy, if you eat right, exercise, sleep enough, and keep your immune system healthy. I mean, we've got this whole, I talk about immunity rot. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. It's just
rot, R-O-T.
R-O-T. It's how our immune system, as 55 and older, as it just starts to slowly not be able to work correctly. And I don't think getting a flu shot, I don't want to get off the topic here, because they force it down our throats. They make us get it whether it's the strain that they're using or not. They just insist. And then last season, what they tried to do was get everybody to take it twice because it was such a long winter.
Right.
So they tried to get people to take another flu shot because it wore off. I mean, I don't know. I still don't understand why the American Medical Association is in bed with the pharmaceutical companies. I mean, they are wrapped so tightly together. I don't understand it. I don't understand how it can even happen, considering we're supposed, doctors are supposed to be science-driven only and not be driven by proceeds from any corporation in any way, shape, or form. Yet we're forcing people to get vaccinations that are, and that's just, and we're just talking the flu shot, let alone not any of the other thousands of vaccinations that
it's a
that we're
gray
forcing
area
kids to
that
get.
we're being told is black or white. There's only
And
one
it's
way to go.
not.
So here's what I've decided. The more I study this, and you got me into this many years ago. You remember your talk about yogurt with me 20 years ago or so. Most of your immune system is in the gut. Part of defending your immune system is here. Is that correct?
80% of your immune system is in your gut. If your gut isn't healthy, that's why you've got to eat right. If your gut isn't healthy, then you're not going to be healthy. Your immune system's not going to be healthy. That's where you need to start fighting the flu, is by taking care of your gut. You shouldn't have irritable bowel. You shouldn't have any of those things, constipation. You shouldn't have reflux disease. None of that should exist if you were eating properly. That all ceases and that goes away. And when that goes away, your gut is working, your immune system's going to be great, and you don't need any flu shot and anybody coming running after you with a needle.
Yeah, it really is.
I want to say one other thing.
Go ahead.
Do you know they now, if you refuse and you're a hospital worker, they now make you wear masks and put a badge on. It's sort of like you get this red badge or.
Not of courage, right?
No,
it's
a
a red
like the
badge.
adulteress
Yes. It's in my
Salem.
opinion, that is placing you, seeing patients and having patients say, "Oh, that doctor didn't get his flu shot." It's really getting a bit out of control.
A bit out of control?
I think we're all thumbprints. Maybe some of you want to take the flu shot. You're doing great. Dr. Pescatore is not here to tell you not to do that. Go ahead and continue getting your flu shot per your doctor's orders. What he's saying is this is not about the flu shot. It's all about defending an immune system. Can you do that with diet and probiotics and beta-glucan? You bet you can. So thank you so much for coming in and clarifying that. You bet.
Everybody knows about thyroid health, but do you know about adrenal health? Here are my top 3 strategies for great adrenal health. Number 1, get some testing done. Usually it's saliva testing. They'll tell you about a hormone called cortisol, and whether you're too high or too low, you'll kind of direct your strategies accordingly. Number 2, if you're too high, rhodiola. This is a fantastic adaptogenic herb. It just makes you, when your cortisol is too high, you're stressed out all the time, and it brings down the stress level. But some of us, number 3, are too low. If you find out that you're too low, like I am, you guys, here's what you need to do. Consider licorice. If you have too high of a blood pressure, you can't do licorice, but most people who have low cortisol need more licorice and brings the cortisol up, and you feel better.
That's what so many spouses hear at night, right? A study out of the Mayo Clinic in 1999 proved that about 95% of all chronic sinus problems were not linked to bacteria, as doctors believe. They're linked to fungus. So sometimes just a change of diet and then use of nasal sprays like oregano spray or olive leaf spray will clear up the snoring altogether within a week. I was, at the time in my 50s, I was working on radio. I had a very popular weekend radio show, and I had started in TV. I'd been at that a couple of years. And I'll never forget a major research, it was called Women's Health Initiative, was being done. And they had women on, as I recall, estrogen and progestin, that combination. Because you see, all women were told by their OBGYNs and scientists that they needed to be on this. God made a mistake in shutting estrogen off in them. But don't worry, your doctor is going to see to it that that mistake is reversed. And it's this kind of craziness, I think, that goes on today. Men are taking hormones like crazy now, testosterone, because, boy, we need to be better, and we need to be bigger, and we need, more activity in rooms of our houses that I don't want to talk about. But it's all about romance. Folks, what didn't we men learn from the women's study, right? So here came this WHI study, Women's Health Initiative study, hormone replacement therapy. Let me quote it here. The finding was surprising since a recent comprehensive review of previous epidemiologic studies had concluded that no convincing link between breast cancer and hormone replacement therapy was present. But in fact, the big surprise was there was a 29% increase in heart attacks and a 41% increase in strokes. So, who were the previous researchers? Did anybody blow the whistle on them? Was there any financial link to the companies that make this? I don't know. And you know what? I don't care, because I didn't take hormone replacement therapy, and I'd never take male hormone replacement therapy. I'm going to live till I die, and I don't want my body filled with hormones. The take-home message here is this. Your doctor trusted the pharmaceutical agencies that made these hormone replacement therapies. And he gave you convincing data that every woman, when they go in for their annual, should have to be, when you're 39, 42 years old, you should have to take hormone replacement therapy. And none of you that I know of sat up and said, why? Doesn't God just shut off estrogen normally? Why do I need it? I have women I love, who have made it through all of these years just fine, absolutely no doctor visits, and they're fine. I think their health was so good because they were exercising, eating properly, and so forth, going into their 40s and 50s, that they didn't have this problem. But we're all taught we got to go to a doctor. How are we going to get through menopause? How are we men going to turn 40 years old and lose our vigor and we can't compete with other men anymore? Folks, you're buying the stories. Hook, line, and sinker, okay? This I thought was interesting also. We opened the show with penicillin. Look at this. Penicillin can be toxic to the nervous system. In 1945, they first demonstrated that. It's been shown to be neurotoxic in all age groups. Can cause grand mal seizures as opposed to petit mal seizures, and spasms, and in some cases hallucinations when it's intravenously infused, says a Journal of Pharmacology circa 2009. We knew this, Maybe the word wasn't on the street. Maybe it didn't get to the doctors. As you know, Kyle Drew comes in here as an ex-drug rep and tells me things I wouldn't ever repeat to you on TV. But I think drug reps are paid handsome salaries to manipulate sometimes. Remember the 99% rule. 99% of them are great. 1% go into the doctor's office and don't tell the entire truth. And that physician has you in the waiting room to see next, and you're going on that drug. Not his responsibility, your responsibility. Today's show is all about accepting responsibility for our ill health, because we have much more power than anyone ever told us inside a doctor's office.
It's fungus until proven otherwise.
Hi, I'm Kyle Drew with another FUPO. Fungus is everywhere. But what makes it cross over from just being a latent, dormant little microbe to something that's disease-causing? We've all had that experience where every now and then we're just doing things the way that we've normally done them, and then boom! It all just changes for us. Well, in this book, The Fungus Diseases of Man, it talks about two different states that fungus can be in. The easygoing, laid-back state that doesn't really do anything, and then the virulent, disease-causing state. Do you know what it says here? It says that one of the reasons that these things cross over into a disease-causing state is because of things like X-rays or other poisons. Other poisons like cigarettes, excessive alcohol, birth control pills, or even pregnancy can create a cascade of hormones that create a disease state for some of these fungi that are otherwise kind of dormant. When you're thinking about why you are sick, just remember, it's fungus until proven otherwise.
Yeah, all this information from the company that teaches you that heart disease and certain diabetes cases and certain cancer cases are intimately linked with something doctors didn't learn in medical school, mycology, fungus. Pretty well documented, folks. So I'm going to be the doctor and I'm going to tell you I fly by the seat of my pants in that office when you're there. I don't have a co-pilot. I go in and I give you the best information I know how, and then I'm going to recommend a drug or a procedure that I learned from someone else. Don't hold me accountable. What all that boils down to, folks, is holding you 100% accountable. You know why? We all have these. Go home and study what the doctor told you. And then, if necessary, go back and tell him what you found, because he'll help a whole lot of people. God bless you. See you next time.